Alright, hey Lloydies, it is week 8, not week 8, week 3 of the 8th year of the Lloyd League, and this is the video for this week. I want to thank everybody for their feedback on the videos and their funny comments. It's fun to get that, so keep that up, please. I am happy, saddened, concerned, angered that I didn't have any more dreams about Matt Hasselbeck this week. I don't know if he's avoiding me. I don't know what's going on with him, but he and I he hasn't invaded my dreams at all yet this week. All right, what are our awards? Week 3, special awards. High scoring manager this week is Katie, 156 points. So she went from worst to first. Much like Johnny the week before, went from being the low scorer the prior week to the high scorer this week. There were tons of people this week that had, tons of players that had 20 or 30 points apiece. So it really made for a lot of scoring this week. The low score was Cisco, and he was in the 80s. Everyone else was either 90s or above. So really high scores this week compared to the prior weeks. Highest scoring starting player this week was Michael Vick. He had 37 points. That belongs to Johnny. So that was an outstanding waiver wire pickup for him a couple weeks ago after Kevin Cobb went down, picking up Michael Vick. The worst starters this week, lowest scoring. Third place was me, starting Miles Austin. He only had 3 points. Who knows what's up with that? Dean had Vasanti Shanka, who only had 1 catch, and he had 1.2 points. And then Ray played the Giants defense, and they only had 1 point. So those are the 3 worst starters for the week. The worst benchings. Second worst benching, Johnny benched Mike Wallace, who had the 2 big catches from the 2 touchdowns, in favor of starting Calvin Johnson, which you would probably expect him to do. That cost him 15. And then Quay benched Brandon Lloyd and instead started Hakeem Nicks, which you would also probably expect him to do. But Brandon Lloyd came through. I guess Brandon Lloyd is kind of like the mascot for this league, or the namesake or something, since it's the Lloyd League. Brandon Lloyd. I don't know if there's any other current NFLers that are named Lloyd, but he's probably the closest one. Jay Deep used to wear his Greg Lloyd jersey from the Steelers around. That was pretty cool. So I guess we could make Greg Lloyd the mascot if we want, but we can put that up to a vote or something for later on. All right. Other results from this week. There were no close matchups, as opposed to the week before where we had 2 or 3 that were really close. This one, no close matchups. They're all blowouts. The closest was me versus Yi Yang, and that came down to, that was 11 points difference. That came down to Monday night with Greg Olson, Brandon Jackson, and Matt Forte all contributing to that one. So Yi Yang beat me by 11, mostly because of his defense this week. All right. Undefeated teams. Last week we had 4. That number has been cut in half from 4 to 2 this week. 2 undefeated teams are Tom J and Dean, are still both undefeated, so they're doing very well. Winless teams. Last week we had 4. That number has also been cut in half. Yi Yang and Katie both won, so that means me and Den are the only 2 teams that have yet to win. I really need to rig this league better. I thought that was the advantage of being the commissioner, was that you could make yourself win and do really, really well. I mean, that's what I do in the basketball pool and the Super Bowl pool and everything like that. So I thought fantasy football would be the same thing, make some money or something. But apparently I'm not very good at it. Not very good at the rigging. My fantasy football skills have yet to be determined. I guess you could probably say I'm not very good at those either. All right, power rankings for this week. Some people moved around. I guess I'll just do them from worst to first. All right, number 12 this week, moving down from 1 spot from last week, is Den. Den, you're 0-3. Your points are low. Your breakdown is the worst of anybody, so you're number 12. Number 11 is Ray. Ray moved down 2 spots from last week. He had another loss. His points are actually the lowest points in the league, so he's number 11. He does have a win though. Number 10 is no change, is Yi Yang. Yi Yang did eke out a win over me, but overall he's still behind several people. Number 9 was the big gainer, or second biggest gainer for the week. Katie moved up from number 12 to number 9 in the power rankings with her win. and her big scoring week. Number 8 is Quay. Um, he had an okay week this week, but he's still at number 8. He's at no change from last week. All right, number 7 is me, one spot down from last week, with another loss. My points are still good. If you noticed, I have the highest points scored against me of anyone in the league. So I'm going to blame that on why I'm losing, not because I'm personally bad. It's just because my particular opponents happen to be good. That's my excuse for now. We'll see if it holds up for later. Number 6 is Tim. He moved down a couple spots from last week with the loss. Number 5 is Cisco. Cisco had the big drop this week. He had been number 1 last week. He's down to number 5 with his loss, and he had the lowest points this week. So he's down to number 5. Number 4 is Dean, still undefeated. Points are a little low, but still undefeated. Number 3 is Johnny. Johnny was the biggest gainer this week. He went up from number 7 to number 3. He had a huge week, 150 points, right behind Katie, and a big win. Number 2, moving up one spot, is Will. Will is the high scorer in points so far. He does have a loss though, but he's still the number 1 high scoring team. And number 1, new number 1 this week, Tom J. Very well done. Total points, he's currently in 3rd, but he's undefeated. So that's good enough to get the number 1 spot in the power rankings this week. That's all for results. Trade possibilities. Start looking for trades. I personally am looking for tight ends and wide receivers. So I have some running back depth to trade. So if anyone is looking for some running backs, please let me know. Make me an offer. We can counter. We can discuss. But go ahead, offer some trades. There haven't been any trades in the league so far in these 3 weeks. So go ahead and get that rolling if you find a gap, especially with bye weeks coming up. You have a gap you need to fill. Figure out how to do that. Sometimes a trade is the way to make that happen. And finally, the best defense award for this week. It's not the Packers. It's not the Steelers. It's not the Saints. The best defense award this week goes to Katie Dill for defending her dissertation this Friday at UCLA. So good luck, Katie. We know you're going to knock them dead, and it's going to be awesome. And Dr. Dill will be here soon enough. So good luck, and we know you can do it. That's all. Take care, everybody, and I will see you next week.